We're a little bit early. What you will need today to get started are 2 cups of water, some paper towel or a rag, some brushes. I have 3 different sizes. They're fairly small. They are a 3, a 2, and a 0, and an eraser, which would be helpful for just reducing some of the pencil marks that you have on your picture. So I'd like you just to lighten them up a little bit, just so that you can see them. There we go. So we have 2 shots. So one is of the actual picture we're going to do. So this is your drawing that you would have done already, hopefully. If not, what I used to make this drawing to get the circle was, I actually used a cottage cheese container. So if you hold that on top of your picture, you'll see that it's just about the same roundness of your drawing. So we're also going to talk about a color wheel today. I don't know if anybody knows about color wheels, but we're going to use one of the colors that we'll make from the color wheel in our picture. And Troy is telling me something. So we're just waiting 3 more minutes until everyone can join. I don't want anyone to be left out. And this is what we're going to do. So you'll have a choice of making your picture blue or making it in the green shade. So that's entirely up to you. That's where your individuality will come in. So I'm just going to turn my phone a little bit and you'll see. So this is the picture in blue. And this is the picture in green. So, and I was hard pressed to see which one I liked better. I like both of them. So you'll have a choice, which is fun. You can put your leaves pink if you like. That's up to you.
Cathy, could you show your blue one again, please?
Yes.
I just figured out how to make you bigger.
Oh, okay. Let's see.
Okay, thank you. I see
this
it.
is in blue.
Okay, good.
And
Beautiful.
this is in green.
Okay, we got it. Thank you.
So if anybody wants to take a shot of that first while I hold that up, you go ahead if you'd like to take a screenshot or not. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And there's the blue. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Oh, you're so fast. Just a second.
Oh, okay.
Okay, I got it.
Got that one?
We got it. Thank you.
And there's green. So it's the same birds,
Yep.
just a different color for the leaves. I'm not an expert, but I do love painting, so that's why I'm on with you. So we have a color wheel that I brought today to show you, to demonstrate a little bit about the one side. This comes in 2 sides. So I'm not sure if any of you have a color wheel, and if you have a color wheel, maybe you're not sure what it means or how to use it. We're not going to cover this side of a color wheel today, but we will cover one color on this color wheel today. If you want to make them pink or you want to make them yellow or red, that's entirely up to you. If you want to use all different colors, then I welcome your individuality. I think that would be fun. But let's have a look at the color wheel first before we get too far. So this color wheel lets you know by looking at it, and I'm not sure if it's close enough for you to see, but if you look at this color wheel, if I look at this color, that is green, where my brush is pointing, if I add red to this green, this is the color that I will get. If I add this color blue-green and yellow, I'll come up with this color green. Of course, blue and blue is going to come up to the same color. When I turn the color wheel, if I add blue and white, I'm going to come up with a softer blue. If I add blue and black, I'll come up with a bit of a turquoisey blue. And I'm going to go back around to the yellow, because what we're going to do today, just using this wheel, if I add yellow and black, oops, I'm going to come right around to the other one. If I add yellow and black, I'm going to come up with a greeny yellow color. This is actually a really pretty green. It's almost an olivey green. And the way to get this is by adding yellow and black together. So we are going to use this green if you're going to be painting in green today on your artwork. So I just wanted you to see, if you've never used a color wheel, if you have a color wheel and you've never actually used it, it does tell you if you add orange and blue, you'll get gray. This is when I say to you, if we're going to make purple, we would add red and blue. Red and blue tells you what you're going to get when you mix those colors together. So sometimes people will say to me, well, how do I get a brown? And so there's different things on a color wheel that will show you by mixing your colors how you can get those different variations. So this is the beauty of watercolor. So thank you for letting me show you that. And so we have these birds. I've drawn mine, and what I've done is I've just really used an eraser and really softened the lines around the birds. So I'd like you to go ahead and do that if you haven't done that already with your eraser. Just really lighten those lines. But I will talk you through how to do the birds, and we'll do those all together. So we'll start with that first. Okay, so we're going to paint the birds first. So I'm just going to use my number 3 brush, the bigger one of the 3 of them. And I'm not going to put a lot of water, but we're going to do one bird at a time. So we're just going to paint this little bird right inside. We're going to paint the whole body, right down to its feet. These are little baby birds, so we want them to have a soft look. So once we've got that baby bird wet, then we're going to go ahead with our palette, and we're going to mix ultramarine blue with your black. So we want a soft blue color, more blue than black. We want a really soft blue color, almost like a steel gray. And I'm going to water that down a little bit because I want it to be even lighter.
Thank you.
We have water on our bird, and I just want to put a little bit of color on the top of my bird and just come around that eye, and just a little tiny bit of blue on its breast. So
Sorry,
not,
did you say that was just ultramarine blue?
I'm using blue and gray, yes, blue and gray together, so it's fairly light.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and we're just doing the top of the head, just behind the eye, and just the breast. Just a little bit of the breast, not even all of it.
And this is wet on wet?
This is wet on wet. We're just doing one bird at a time. So once we have that blue on, we're just going to put a little touch of yellow just underneath the eye and just on the tummy part of that bird. Just a very light yellow. And then with the same bird, with that light gray, we're going to go from the bottom where its feet are, where its claws are, and we're just going to drag that color up just a little bit. So it's a really soft color on there, really soft. We can take a little bit darker. We can take the gray or black and tone that down. Just add a little bit of water, and we can just do a little bit of outer edge on the top of the bird and just on a little bit of the belly. We're just giving a little outer edge to the bird. And we're going to go ahead with clean water again onto our bird on the other side. We're not going to do the middle bird yet. We'll come back to that one. And we're just going to get it wet. Just the same as we did on the first bird. We're just going to put some water on this bird. And again, we're going to do that soft technique with the blue gray mix of paint. And we're just going to paint around that eye, just down the back a little bit, and just a touch on the belly. We're going to leave the rest of that bird white for now. And then we're going to come in with that yellow, that really light yellow, and we're going to do just a little bit below his ear and a little bit on the tummy. Remember, these are baby birds, so we want a nice soft look. Then we're going to take that blue-gray mix again, and we're going to pull from the bottom of the bird up into the body, but we're still going to leave a little bit of white on its body. And we're not going to do the eye, and we're not going to do the beak, and we're not going to do the feet at this point. We're just going to leave this to dry, but we'll go on to the middle bird. And again, same process. We're going to get this wet. And it's okay if when you're getting it wet, you go over the beak and over the eye. We're just going to get the whole bird wet with clear water. Then with that same gray blue mix, the really soft blue, we're going to go ahead and we're going to do the top of this bird's head. We're going to go to the beak, but not beyond the beak, because this bird is faced at a different angle. So we're going to do behind and around the eye and just beside the beak. And again with the yellow, just a little bit below the eye. And the tummy is on the left-hand side. I'm just going to put a little bit of this yellow underneath the beak, right down on the bird. And then we'll take that blue-gray mix and we'll pull that also up into the body of the bird, leaving the center white. And we'll give a little outer edge to the outside with the gray mix, just to accent the outside of the bird. And we're going to come right down to his tummy where he meets the other bird. Then we'll go back to the bird on the left-hand side and we'll cap his head as well, which we haven't done yet. And just a little bit down onto his tummy. So we'll come back to eyes and beak and feet. But from here, we're going to move along. It's just so that we don't touch any parts of the bird. We're not going to do the branch yet either. But we are going to start with the branches on the outside. So we're going to use brown. So it depends on what brown you have, whether you have a dark brown, a light brown. It doesn't really matter. It's just brown is what we're going to use for the stems or for the little branches. So we're going to do branches first. So we're just, it's almost like a paint by number at this point. You've drawn your stems, and so we're just going to paint those stems. And if you don't have a steady hand, this is good for that. This is okay. I will remind everyone that this is just a piece of paper, not to get too worried about it. If what you paint today or what you create today isn't exactly what you want, then please practice it again. We have lots of opportunity to do that. This also makes a lovely card to give away for any occasion, birthday, anniversary, family occasion. So I'm just going back over again and just darkening those lines a second time. Watercolor dries 20 to 30% lighter than when you put it on. So sometimes you need to reapply. And that's what watercolor is all about. It's putting color on color on color. And for the roundness of this picture, I just used a cottage cheese container just to give me my nice round shape. And then I just erased what I didn't want or what I didn't need. So lots of times there's things around the house that we can use that are great for painting. You could use a toothbrush is beautiful for grass and for some different techniques on trees for different leaves if you're looking for a certain depth. So just think about what you've got around your house. Now this is where the chance where you, or opportunity where you have to decide if you want to make your leaves blue or if you want to make your leaves green. So we have some in blue and we have green or any other color that you choose. Well, I'm going to return mine to the blue. Well, actually, I think I'll do the green because I want to use a two-tone green. So when I showed you the color wheel, one of the things that we talked about, or I showed you, was if I mixed yellow and black together, I come up with a green, almost an olivey green. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to make that color now. So I'll mix my black with my green. And this is the color that it comes out as. So it's a really deep green. So with this, and I'm just going to do half of each leaf in this green. Maybe I'll do the bottom part in green and the top part in blue, and then I'm painting with everyone else in blue as well. And with the blue, I'm using a darker blue. It's ultramarine blue. So I'm just putting ultramarine blue on the leaves. So we'll all be busy painting and adding our colors. So I'm going to add, I've got the green that I created, and I've got a leaf green. So I'm going to put leaf green on the other side of the leaf. So I have a nice variation, a two-toned leaf. So go ahead and do that. And while you're doing that, we'll all be working at that together. I would like to read my joy card today. My joy card today is truth. It's probably backwards for you to read it. And so this is from my meditation cards for everyday living. It's may you know joy. So may you know truth. It is so simple and yet so powerful. Sometimes it is difficult to face, but it is undeniable, and there is vast strength in it. Do not resist it, but accept it and embrace it. Stand in your truth and speak your truth. Feel it in your core and know it in your heart. With truth, everything is clear and free and exquisitely raw. The truth really will set you free. So that's my meditation card for the day. I hope you enjoyed that one. And you've all been painting, so I'll continue with mine as well. So again, I'm doing half of each leaf in one color and the other half in the lighter color. And it's funny when we talk about truth, I completely annihilated an egg today before class. I was making myself an egg omelet, and I came into the art room and decided to just paint a couple of things, just a couple of things, and the smoke detector went off, and my egg was cooked beyond recognition. So it's funny I think that I have more time than I actually do. And so this is the two-tone green. And I've left out a couple of branches here, little twigs to paint. And I chose this picture for us to paint. I actually, it's an original. I did find the birds, and I did do something similar to the birds that I had found a photo of, but I created the wreath as well, and so I put the two together. So it's kind of fun when you do your own originals. So I'm giving you permission, artistic license, to do whatever you like with it and have fun with it. And as long as I'm not copying anybody else's work, then that's called your own personal artistic license. And at this point, we're not selling it, and we're not hoping for the perfect picture. You might be, but that's not the intent. There's no pressure here to make a perfect picture. This is practice. And I encourage you to try again and again different things, and trying at different colors, trying at different styles. If you're holding your brush really tightly, you're probably not getting a good flow. So just relax your shoulders, drop them down. Take a deep breath in and out. And again, in and out. One more time, in and out. And just relax, and you'll find that the paint will go on that much smoother. And just relax your grip on your brush.
Cathy's a question. Could you tell us what the green is again, please?
The green is a black and yellow mix. So it's two different greens that I put on the bottom. I've got a leaf green, and the black and yellow mix makes an olive green. So it gives a little bit of depth, a little bit of a two-dimensional or three-dimensional look to the leaf. Up top, I've only done just a solid blue. If you're looking at your picture and you decide you want to put more leaves on it than are there, then just follow the pattern and go ahead and you can add a leaf here and there. So there's a lot of leaves on here to paint, so I can see that you're all busy painting. You're all meditating, all focused on the project at hand. Good for you. And I started to say earlier that I chose this. I looked at a number of different paintings. I actually painted a couple of different ones. One was of some boats in a harbor, and another one was of a landscape that I had seen when I was in Ireland with some sheep. And perhaps we'll do those another day. But it just felt like there's some things going on in the world that felt heavy this week for me. And I talked to someone else, and they kind of felt the same thing. And she said the moon was in Gemini, and I don't know how many of you are in touch with that, but either way, it was a heavy feeling for me this week. And so I decided to do something lighter and something more fun, and something that it would be good as a card if you chose to do that, if you choose to give it away. And I hope that this is something that you enjoy this week. So we're going to move from there on to the major branch that the birds are on. And this again is brown. This is wet paint on dry. And at some point, so I just want you to put your brush in the water once and go across the branch. And then we can use a dry brush on dry paper, and you get a really nice effect when you do that. So if I was to take just a plain piece of paper and demonstrate that. If I'm coming across my branch with a wet, and then I run out of paint. And so by rubbing along, I get a nice effect that's going to give me a bark look. So it actually, and we can come back and get some more water on our brush and move it along a little bit if we like. But that look of paint when you drag it and your brush starts to dry out, you get a little effect, almost like the look of a log. So let's try that and see if that works. I don't want too much paint on my brush, just a little bit, and I'm going to drag along and I'm going to run out of paint. And so I've got a look that's a little bit just going up. I'm going to actually have to add a little bit more paint, but not too much, because I do want that look. Where there's a little bit of white in between. It gives me that look of bark. So we can add a little bit of gray to that as well, but I'd just like you to put that brown on first. And I think, Jackie, I'm hoping I answered your question. If I didn't, you're asking about what is the green again, and the green is yellow and black mixed together.
You did. I'm amazed. And I love it. I'm amazed and I love it. It's an amazing colour.
Oh, good. Yes.
I know that I've learnt something today.
If you have a color wheel, or you can look online at color wheels as well, and they'll tell you.
I might buy one.
Now I want to add a little bit more to that bottom log, and so I'm going to go back into my brown, and I'm going to mix brown with a very tiny bit of black, because I want a darker color, but I still want it to be in the brown family. And I'm going to give a nice edge to my branch that the birds are on, but I don't want it to be a solid line. I'm just going to give some short feathery strokes just to give a ragged look. So I'm going to do that on the top and on the bottom. So I just want a little bit, just short feathery strokes, and they don't all even have to touch each other, just along the top and on the bottom. Just that it looks like it's bark. And that's just short feathery strokes.
Cathy, is that the black that you said that you took to do that?
I did, I mixed my black with brown, more brown than black. I want it to still look brown.
Okay.
I want it to still, I want it still to be in the brown family, but I want it more defined than the brown that was there.
Okay, thank you.
So the black or Payne's gray mixed with that brown will give a nice deeper color.
Right.
So then I'm going to take that same black brown, and throughout my log or throughout my branch, I'm just going to add a little bit of that just here and there to give again that look of bark. So I don't want it to be completely filled in. I can still leave some white for visual effect. So again, we'll just drop your shoulders down, just relax them a little bit. If you're holding your brush really tight, you're not getting flow with your paints, just relax into this. This is just practice. This is just a piece of paper. Just enjoy watching the paint move. Let it do what it's going to do. You can do abstract with this just for fun as well and see how the paints blend. If you wet your whole paper and then just put different colors and watch how they blend and watch how they move. It's really interesting, the effects that you get. And sometimes there's things that you can do that way, that there's no other way that you could attain that. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to give our birds a little bit of personality. If you're ready, we're going to go ahead with a black or Payne's gray. And this is a solid color. We're not mixing it with anything else. And we're just going to give each bird a dot or an eye. So you're just giving a dot or an eye, just a dot. That's all. Just a dot. Watercolor is really pretty easy to work with. If something happened and you've blurred your dot and it's too big, then you can fix your eye. You can fix your eye by taking off. So if I have my bird here and I put the dot and it's too big and I want to take that off, then I can get that eye wet and use paper towel, and I can blot that eye off. And then I need to let that dry before I come back on to put another dot. So I would just let that dry completely. So watercolor is pretty easy to work with that way. As long as you're getting it as soon as you put it on, you can go ahead and you can get that wet and take it off and then come back once it's dry. So while we have that same black out, let's give those birds some feet. So again, it's just straight black. And usually what I do with my brush is and I'm using a very tiny brush right now. This one is called, it's a Curry's, it's a 0. So it's really tiny. And I just want 2 little tiny feet. So I dip my brush in the water and then I'll go into my watercolor and then I'll tap it on my tray or I'll tap it on a paper towel so I don't have too much paint on. And I'm just going to give these birds some feet. They're just sitting on that branch. I'm going to have to move that branch up. So they're just sitting on the branch. And as I said, I'm going to move my branch up. So I'm going to just take a bit of that brown. I'm just coming right up to the feet, just to join. So we're close. They're not quite finished now. We have 11 minutes to go and we want to give it some personality and we want to do our artist signature on our picture. So we'll move on to orange. And so I actually have the color orange. If you do not have orange in your palette, then red and yellow makes orange. So if you mix those 2 colors together, you'll come up with the color orange. And again, I do happen to have orange in my palette, so I'm into my little paint bucket or paint tray. I'm tapping off on the tray, and then I'm coming on to the beak. I'm going to do 1 bird at a time, so I'm just going to do the one on the right-hand side, and I'm just giving him a nice pointy little beak with my 0 brush. I'm going to work on the bird on the far side, and he has his head way up, and so we're going to give him an orange beak. And then my bird in the center, this is a triangle. And I'm just giving him a little triangle beak. And then they all look like they're sitting in the tree singing. So, and as I mentioned earlier, watercolor dries 20 to 30% lighter from the time that you put it on. And it looks like my outline of my birds has gone a little bit lighter than I want. And so I'm going to go back in and I'm just going to darken that outline just a little bit, just with a faded, I have Payne's Gray. So with a faded Payne's Gray, I'm just going to go around the outside of my birds where I already had the Payne's Gray, but I'm just going to darken it a little bit. And there are pencil marks showing on my birds, and in watercolor, that's perfectly acceptable. Some people don't like it. Some people think it's fun. It's entirely up to you. At this point, we need to decide what is my artist's signature? What do I want to put for my name? How do I want to sign my picture? And so if you have green tape around the outside of your picture, this is where you can practice. This is where you can do some little scribbling on your tape because you will discard your tape. Typically, it's in the right-hand corner or somewhere over on the right-hand side of the picture. Sometimes people give it a number. You could give it today's date if you like. I'm just going to sign mine with my name. And if you were doing a canvas, it might be nice to put your name on the side of your canvas rather than on the front of your canvas. And if you were doing a card, you could put it on the back like they do on a Hallmark card. They look like fun little happy birds to me. I hope you've enjoyed doing those birds. So thanks everyone. Bye-bye.